This is the real-life story of a man who fought a battle between life and death in the world's largest and most ruthless ocean, Pacific Ocean, for more than 400 days. He set a world record and returned alive after 14 months. But upon his return, what happened that led him to prison? Let's discover the whole story in this video. The name Pacific Ocean alone makes people sweat. Look, 71% of the Earth is covered by water, which is divided into 4 oceans: the Atlantic, Pacific, Indian, and Arctic. The largest ocean is the Pacific. It is so massive that its area is 165 million square kilometers, and it alone covers 148 million square kilometers of water. This ocean has very few islands, and some of them are so remote that no human has ever set foot on them. Now, if someone gets lost in the Pacific Ocean, it is nearly impossible to find them. The man who survived in the Pacific Ocean for 14 months was named Jose Salvador Alvarenga. He had a small 7-foot boat on which he couldn't even lie down properly, yet he survived on this boat for over a year. He endured the brutality of the ocean and set a world record that no one has broken to this day. Jose was just a victim of his fate, which led him into this dire situation. This incident took place in 2012. Jose was a 36-year-old experienced fisherman who lived in a village called Costa Azul in Mexico. On November 17, 2012, Jose and a companion set out for fishing as usual in their small 7-foot boat. They couldn't go far because the boat was too small, with only one engine and a single refrigerator. So they planned to return in 30 hours after catching a few fish. They were 120 kilometers away from the Mexican coast setting up their fishing nets, when suddenly a dangerous storm approached them. To save time, they left their nets behind and sped the boat away. For 6 straight hours, they tried to escape the storm, but when they were just 20 kilometers from the shore, the boat's engine failed. They could see the shore in their village, but the storm had almost caught up with them. They had a radio with which they sent their location to their boss and waited for a reply. However, their bad luck continued as the radio battery died. On one side, they could see the shore, and on the other, the storm was approaching with such intensity as if it would swallow them whole. The winds were so strong that their boat started drifting away from the shore. Within a short time, the shoreline disappeared, and the fierce waves pulled them further away. By the time their message reached their boss, it was too late. The boss sent out a search party to find them, but with every passing moment, Jose's boat drifted farther and farther away. The storm made it impossible for them to see or understand where they were and where the shore was. Astonishingly, within just 5 days, their boat had drifted 450 kilometers away from the shore. The small size of the boat made it even more difficult to locate them. They had no flare gun or anything to light a fire and signal someone. Looking at each other, they silently thought that survival now seemed impossible. 2 days earlier, they had run out of food, and they didn't have any equipment to catch fish because they had left their nets behind. Both of them were starving when suddenly a bird landed on their boat. They looked at each other and immediately tried to catch the bird, but they couldn't. They knew the bird might return. After a while, another bird arrived. This time, they carefully planned and managed to catch it. This is how they started surviving, by eating the birds that landed on their boat. Drinking salt water from the ocean could kill them, so they began storing rainwater in plastic bottles to stay alive. But when it didn't rain, they quenched their thirst by drinking the blood of fish and turtles, but only when they managed to catch them. Days turned into months. The mental torture they were experiencing was unimaginable. Finally, Jose's companion couldn't bear the torment, and after 4 months committed suicide. Now Jose was left alone on the boat, surrounded by nothing but water. With no hope in sight, he began to drift through life, making do with his dire circumstances. Looking at the maps, it's estimated that Jose was in a part of the Pacific Ocean considered one of the most silent areas in the world, where only cargo ships pass through. Over 6 months had passed since Jose had left the Mexican coast, and during this time, he had lost his companion, leading to deep frustration. One day, Jose saw a cargo ship in the distance. It was the first ship he had seen in the last 6 months, and this sight reignited his hope of survival. He desperately tried to signal the ship in every possible way, but unfortunately, the ship was too far away to notice him, and soon it disappeared from his sight. He began to think that perhaps his destiny was to die. Imagine being stuck in a place for 6 months where you don't see another human being, and when you finally do, they don't see you and pass by. How would you feel? After 11 months, Jose had traveled 8,000 kilometers on his small boat. His clothes had torn, and the only thing he had left to protect himself from the sunlight was a vest. Finally, luck smiled on Jose. After 439 days on January 30th, 2014, he noticed coconuts floating around his boat and birds flying nearby. He realized there must be an island nearby. In the distance, he spotted an island. It took him half a day to reach it. When he finally arrived near the island, he jumped off the boat and swam to shore. After months of drifting, he finally set foot on solid ground. The island was called Ebon Atoll, one of the world's smallest islands. It was a miracle that the winds had pushed his boat toward this tiny island. If the winds had shifted even slightly, Jose would never have made it to this island. And the nearest land he might have seen would have been the Philippines, 5,000 kilometers away. But fortunately, Jose reached Ebon Atoll, which turned out to be a blessing, as if he had escaped death and been given a new life. After exploring the area, Jose found a house. Shortly after, a man emerged from the house. For the first time in 14 months, Jose saw another living human being, and tears welled up in his eyes. After hearing Jose's story, the local police arrived. He recounted his entire journey to the police, but no one believed him. How could someone survive for 438 days in a small boat, without food, staring at a dead body? To prove his story, Jose called his boss, the one who used to send him fishing. His boss confirmed that Jose had indeed worked for him and had disappeared in the ocean a year ago. Since Jose had ended up in another country without a visa, he was held for a few days for legal procedures before being sent back to Mexico. But his journey didn't end there. The family of Jose's friend, who had died midway, filed a case against Jose, accusing him of killing and eating his friend. After some legal proceedings, Jose was acquitted. A few days later, Jose published a book titled 438 Days, where he narrated his entire story. Unknowingly, in his fight for survival, Jose set a world record that no one would ever want to break. Jose's story inspires us that no matter how tough life gets, there is always a solution to every problem. If you want to watch more such videos on similar topics, subscribe to our channel, press the bell icon, and comment below to let me know. Thank you for watching the video till the end. See you in the next video.